On today's episode of Titus and Tate, Ohio State and North Carolina are winning the co-national championship. Folks, it is the calendar. The calendar has turned to February, and we are in dangerous waters because Tate and I both believe in our teams, and it is very, very scary.
Yeah, this is, back in the OSP days, the One Shining Podcast days, when things were going well for us, we had God's plan. And God's plan involved Drake, and it involved good vibes. And I think this year we got Ohio State, Chris Holtman. Coach Holtman is our cop. He is our coach of the program. All good vibes. North Carolina trending up in the very competitive ACC, as you and I both know. Receiving votes. 3 votes, folks. Put them up. And finally, we have the Drake Bulldogs. And that is our third piece. When we have Drake going well,
there
the
you
podcast
go.
is
All
going
right.
well. So,
yeah. It
day.
is very, like, I'm facing the jinx head on. Just that, like, I was
Number
watching
7 in the country.
I was watching us beat Michigan State, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to tiptoe around it. We're going to the Final Four. I'm going to be very. I haven't gotten into nothing can go wrong territory yet, but that's coming. If we beat Iowa on Thursday, you're going to hear me on the podcast say nothing could possibly go wrong. Oh my God!
Fingers crossed.
This is bad. Also, we killed the Big 12 SEC Challenge picks, didn't we? I mean, should we pat ourselves on that? Like, why were?
Yeah, I think we should. I was. It was one of those times where I was waiting for our friend CBB on Fox or someone to say, look at our guys, Titus and Tate. They made these great picks today. And then eventually it did come out. I mean, you and I, we had Oklahoma. We had the upset. I think that was the first game of the day that we got going. I had Iowa State. That was the one pick that we differed on. They got absolutely obliterated, and it was so funny because, like, when I picked them, I was like, they're gonna get obliterated, but it felt good in my heart. But yeah, we did great on that. That was fun.
Did, yeah. Who
would have thought?
Who would have thought that? All the haters that say we only know ACC and Big Ten suck it. The haters,
this is a bad day for the haters.
Listen, haters, if you're listening, this is not the podcast for you. We're loving our teams.
Yes.
We're also flexing on how we know more about the Big 12 and SEC than you do. We're also going to do good guy, bad guys. We always do on Tuesday. I'm excited for this. We got a lot of good picks coming up.
And Tony guy, we got a special guest.
We have a special guest for Tony. Speaking of jinxes, we're going to talk about a very big jinx. All right, before we get into it, Tate, it is February, and I'm getting a little emotional because we are officially less than 6 weeks away from Selection Sunday, and I don't need to tell our listeners we did not have a Selection Sunday last year. People forget that. We didn't have a tournament last year, but we also didn't have the Selection Sunday. So that's part of it is like Selection Sunday is like Christmas Eve, and then the tournament is Christmas.
Yep.
We didn't even get to Christmas Eve. We didn't even get to Christmas season. We weren't even like baking cookies with the family and sitting around the fire.
And you say that I got none of that this year because I didn't go home to North Carolina for actual Christmas and the Christmas season. So that was the year. That was 2020. We were all waiting for our Christmas.
It has been a very long wait, and I woke up this morning. I saw my calendar said February 1st.
Rabbit.
I started getting. I was like, oh my God, it's happening in 6 weeks. So I just wanted to say. Thank you to all of the people that have stuck with us, the people the listener, the friends of the program. We are. It is. I don't know. I was getting. I just wanted to open the show saying that because we through it all. We are thriving. We have this great new desk, this great new studio. We've had the best month. Like the past month of the show is the best month we have ever had. It is the show is doing as well as it's ever done, and all the iterations that we've ever done, and like all the numbers and whatever.
You mentioned it last year in March. We were basically ramping up to be. This was our first time we were going to have Fox Sports behind us. We're going to do full March Madness. We were very excited. We were basically ready to launch, and then all of it got taken away, stripped from us. We already know the drama of the entire year and what we've been dealing with and the saga of a pandemic. We all know that, but now we have a hope of a March Madness. It's going to be in Indiana. We have college basketball ramping up. We almost even had Houston schedule a game with Gonzaga just because they could. Just because the number 1 team, the number 5 team, almost met in Salt Lake City to play just because they could. College basketball, yes, there are issues. Yes, there are things going on. But there is a little bit of promise. There's a little bit of hope. And it's thanks to you, the friends of the program. So thank you so much.
What would a podcast be without a little navel gazing? So I just wanted to do that.
We are fired up. It is February.
Honestly, because it does sort of feel like, you're whatever. Who cares? It feels like what is it? I realize it's happening. It's happening. In 6 weeks, we're getting Selection Sunday, and it's all happening. So thank you to all of you. Now let's get to what we really want to talk about, which is one of the worst close basketball games I've ever seen. We just got done watching Texas Tech, Oklahoma. I don't really want to talk much about it because Mac McClung had 4 points all at the free throw line, right? That's correct?
Yes.
He didn't score in the first half. It was really, really bad. And on the heels of Oklahoma, Oklahoma-Alabama game was sort of the same thing. It was like, man, this is bad. The Oklahoma doesn't have their best player. Their leading scorer, leading rebounder,
Austin Reeves.
Yep. So there is that. But woof. I was all fired up to like talk about this game, and then I watched it and I was like, I don't think we really need to spend a lot of time talking about this.
Yeah, it almost feels like Oklahoma eventually they get up to number 9, like I said in the AP poll. They had obviously had this great streak, but then you could poke holes in some of those games. Obviously the Texas game and things like that. But they were resume building wins. They kind of have climbed up as high as I think that they will get this season. Then they play Texas Tech, and Texas Tech is a very tough team. And Fran Fraschilla said this, during the broadcast, and we kind of joked about it. But he said, if you're Texas Tech, you're happy that you win this game because obviously Mac McClung scores 4 points, no field goals, and you're able to grit out, a win or gut out a win, and that's exactly what Chris Beard does. So it's good news for Texas Tech. I think if you're an Oklahoma fan, I don't think you're discouraged, obviously, by losing this game. I think that you understand that there was going to be a return to the mean at some point. And it was great that we got...
Oklahoma, they came off 3 straight top 10 wins.
Yep, exactly.
They beat Kansas, Texas, and Alabama.
Yep.
And then coming in this game, Texas Tech was ranked, 13th? But they're a top 10 team, even though they're ranked 13th. They are a team that's capable. They'll probably be top 10 next week. So yeah, it's been a gauntlet for Oklahoma, and they've showed that they belong, and all that's good. But number 9 seemed pretty high. I had this thought though about Oklahoma because as they were. Here's my thought. So we all know it's Baylor and Gonzaga, and then kind of everyone else. That's where we've arrived in the big picture landscape of college basketball. And it feels like because those two are inevitable, and I don't know if it's inevitable they're going to meet in the title game, but it feels like the NCAA tournament, like the madness isn't going to start until both of them are out, and then everyone's going to be like, oh my God, now it's happening. But until like Baylor and Gonzaga lose, the madness isn't going to start. So what I feel like is happening in college basketball is we are trying to figure out who, I don't know if it's the third best team or like the hottest team that's not Gonzaga or Baylor. And it reminds me
they're de factos. They're there. We know that they're there. They're at the top tier. What you're saying that we have to crown someone else besides them.
Because that's boring. Like to just say, and it reminds me of when I used to watch wrestling, and I was obsessed with wrestling, and then I've fallen off in the last few years. But
did you see Bad Bunny the other night? I did see that.
Boy, I've really fallen off. But wrestling, the way it was always structured when I was in it was they had a belt for Raw, like the title, the WWE title belt. Then they had the World Heavyweight Championship, which is on SmackDown. And then those two guys, like whoever had the belts was like John Cena and like say Batista or something. And like those guys would never lose the belt unless it was like once every 5 years at WrestleMania, they would get upset and they would lose the belt. But they kept the belt because you can't just pass that thing around. If you pass that around, then it loses its value and it diminishes how strong John Cena, whatever. So what happens with wrestling is they come up with the Intercontinental belt, and the Intercontinental belt becomes like the lower tier belt. But that one will get
something to
passed around.
celebrate, yeah.
And like the writers will find ways to like sometimes a guy will lose the belt on a random Monday Night Raw, and you're like, oh my God, whoa, did you see that? Whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the analogy that comes to mind with what's happening in college basketball is that there's this Intercontinental title belt that I feel like Texas initially had it with the Maui Bum.
Yes.
They beat North Carolina. It's like it's still Baylor and Gonzaga, but like let's keep an eye on Texas. And then Michigan kind of took it from Texas at some point.
Yep.
And then Alabama took it from Michigan. Maybe Florida State had a run in there somewhere, but like Alabama very clearly had it. Then Oklahoma beats Alabama, and it's like, man, Oklahoma's now the hot team. They have 4 top 10 wins on the season, 3 in a row. And I guess the point I want to make, Tate, is who has it now? Because Oklahoma just lost. Like they're the Boomer Sooner wagon's kind of running out of steam a little bit, but they're still going to be good. But it's like
the answer is Drake, and and I think a lot of people right now they're saying, well, wait a minute, how can it be Drake? And it has to be Drake. Drake just got ranked in the AP poll for the first time this year. They are 17-0, and they had a little scare, and they're in not their last game, but the game before the last. And a lot of people are watching this game and saying, I don't know about the Bulldogs. They're going to have a loss eventually. But then tonight, Monday night that we're recording right now, they scored 95 points. Their first game as a ranked team since 2008. They basically just blow it out. You could see the confidence. Kind of a lot of times you would expect this team gets put in the AP top 25 and they blow it. But instead, they seem fired up. They seem ready. We got 360 dunks happening in this game. I don't know. I think Drake right now, 17-0, AP top 25 team. I'm not saying that, the wheels are going to come off at some point, but right now, let's just give them the Intercontinental.
They get the
belt.
Intercontinental
Yeah,
belt.
for like at
All
least
right.
a couple days, right?
All right.
They deserve it at some point.
Yeah,
now, people
yeah.
are turning their eyes towards Drake. 17-0 is impressive.
I guess what it comes down to, the Intercontinental belt is the team that Andy Katz comes on here on Friday, and it's like, keep your eyes
Boise
peeled.
State had the
Boise
belt for
State,
one
yeah,
night.
Boise
That's
State.
right. You're
It's
right.
the team that
I
Andy
forgot
Katz,
about that.
like, he sends us his tears, and we're like, tier 3? What the hell? And he's like, now listen, kids.
I will say Ohio State is the other
Thank
team.
you. I wanted to say
Iowa,
that, but
if they beat Iowa, they have the belt.
Thank you.
So right now, Drake has the belt. Ohio State could be up next.
Bless you, Tate. I wanted to say it, but I couldn't be the one to say it. And
Number
I'm glad
7
you
in the
did.
country.
Dude, we are good. We are going to the Final Four.
Oof.
Prove me wrong.
I mean, the fact that they are playing Iowa and they're ranked above Iowa, if you had told me at any point in the season that would be the case, I would have been pretty shocked.
Yeah.
And I would have more thought that Iowa had fallen off now that Ohio State had climbed up so high. So I'm excited about the Buckeyes.
Iowa lost at Illinois Friday.
Yeah. Illinois
Sketchy goaltending call. It was the right call, but man, it was bad. It was the first. That's the first matchup of a Big 3, Big 10 teams.
It was
The
also
Big 3,
the in my stomach at the start of the year, I had a gut check where I was like, man, I love the Fighting Illini.
Yeah.
And
Are
then
they
as the
back?
season has
Are they the
as the season has
Intercontinental
progressed, I have pulled away. But that game did help me get a little bit. It got a little flutter back.
Yeah. For all the Purdue fans listening, saying how can you be so high on Ohio State when we swept you? Now,
Say it.
Listen,
Say it.
EJ Liddell didn't play in the first game in Mackey, which
Nice.
I don't know. He's
Give
our
him the
leading
facts.
scorer and our leading rebounder.
Yeah, give
Does
him
that
the
matter? Meanwhile, the second game when Ivy hits the game winner, get that out of my face because CJ Walker wasn't even playing in that game. Our starting point guard, who actually doesn't even start now, which is why I'm so high on this team, Tate. We have a starting point guard who does not start.
And if
Name another program that does that.
I mean, if CJ was on obviously, if he was even on Florida State,
He started on the Elite Eight team for Florida State.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our starting point guard doesn't start. What about you? That's what I would say to the rest of America.
Take that.
Reminds me of a Thad, the 2011 team. He would start Dallas Lauderdale. Aaron Kraft came off the bench, and Dallas Lauderdale would sometimes play like 5 minutes. He would just play like he did like the Boeheim does this too. Like he did it with Deion
Yeah, he
Waiters.
set the tone.
Yeah, and then like Deion Waiters wouldn't start games, but did Deion Waiters ever start a game at Syracuse? I don't remember, but he definitely didn't when he got drafted.
I can't wait to talk
that
about
high.
Jim Boeheim on this program.
All right, let's move it along then. Let's get to good guys, bad guys. Your pick for good guy of the week this week.
Good guy of the week for me is pretty simple. I think he is a guy that we have all watched succeed. He is someone on this program that we call Mr. March. But boy, it is not March. It is unfortunately February, and he is struggling. He is a man that came up as you called him out on. And he even agreed to this at one point. Manufactured adversity. This is what my good guy of the week does, Tom Izzo. And this year, he did not manufacture any adversity. The adversity came.
What happens when the adversity manufactures you?
Yes.
That's what I would say.
Wow. What if
That's
I
what
told you? Tom Izzo had too much adversity. This is the year after the game. He basically says after
Look
the
at that picture. I love our production team. By the way,
Man.
this picture of Izzo just
with Foster Lawyer sitting there saying, "Coach, what can I do?" And he's like, "Not
he's like,
you."
he's
He's
like,
like Rocket Watts.
Literally
Do
anybody.
something. Yeah. I mean, after the game, Tom Izzo says, my stars got to play better. He gives a million different excuses as to why they are not playing better.
Who's a star?
Aaron Henry is who he keeps talking about. And he's like,
That's
he's like,
follow up, coach. Who's the star on this team?
it's not Foster Lawyer. And he's a hardworking kid. But regardless, Michigan State, they just seem just absolutely
Out of
just
sorts,
flat.
would you say?
They seem flat.
Would you say out of sorts?
I would say
Would
out of
you go
sorts.
there? Would you take it there?
But good guy of the week. I mean, Tom Izzo tried to defend his guys. He did not throw him under the bus like another coach will bring up later. But he's a good guy of the week because he's trying to figure it out. You see in that picture, he's just absolutely devastated. And this is not a good year for the Blue Bloods, unless you're Carolina. But if you're another Blue Blood,
I think
it's
that's Carolina's problem is all the other Blue Bloods suck. And
Yeah,
that's
we're
become
getting
the
lumped
narrative.
in.
Yeah, you're getting lumped in.
It's not fair.
Yeah, UCLA is like they've never been happier to not be considered a Blue Blood. They're
Yes.
like, yes.
They're like,
We're-
finally free.
We're finally free from that.
Number 21 in
the
the country.
suckage. Can I just say that Rocket Watts?
He started, by the way.
Rocket, we got to figure this out, man.
Yeah.
Like we gotta. I need Rocket Watts to be good. Like the fact that this man's name is Rocket Watts, that is, we can't let a name like that go to waste. If I told you that Rocket Watts was the starting point guard at Michigan State, you'd be like, that guy is an All-American. He has to be.
Yeah.
Cassius Winston.
Yeah.
Mateen Cleaves, Tate. These are like we obviously know that those guys were good, so we look back on it, we're like, oh, they had cool names, by the way. I think you were like preordained. When you have a name like Cassius Winston, you're preordained to be great. When you have a name like Mateen Cleaves, how many other Mateens have you heard of? And like a Cleaves, like that's such a cool. It just rolls off the tongue. It's great. Rocket Watts is better than both of them name wise. Rocket Watts is an unbelievable name. If you're playing a video game and you see a recruit named Rocket Watts, you're doing everything you don't get him, you reset the game and you try again and you try to get you get that guy on your team.
Yeah, you turn off the Xbox.
Yeah.
And you turn it back on and you say, "Can I get Rocket Watts?" I will say,
what a name! And he's not. And he's like,
they need a point guard. You talk about Ohio State has
Jack
too many
Hoiberg.
point guards.
Jack Hoiberg.
I mean, right now, Rocket Watts is supposed to be the guy. Tom Izzo called him an enigma after the game. They're trying to figure out how to figure it out, and this is just not the year for these guys. Not the year for Michigan State. If they
we say that every year. Is Michigan State going to figure it out?
They're probably going to win the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, they're gonna. Now, if we could just piece it together and go on this run here, we'll be all right. Yeah, it's been a rough go.
Yeah, good guy of the week though. I feel like it was about time that Tom Izzo was on this list. And we've had a lot of Michigan. We have, for people at home that don't know, we have a lot of Michigan State people that are close to us in our lives that reach out to us and say,
"We do. Yeah.
What's going on?"
Our boss is one of them.
Yes, our boss is one of them, and he probably is very upset that Foster Lawyer has got this many mentions on this podcast. But we have to keep bringing him up.
All right, my good guy of the week is a guy who has become synonymous with this category, with this label. He's very much in the running for good guy of the year. He was a preseason Duffy winner, wasn't he?
Oh, yes.
Did we give him the Duffy for preseason?
I think
good
so.
guy coach of the year. I can't remember.
So.
My pick is Jim Christian of Boston College, and here's why. So. News broke today that Boston College had 4 scholarship players available for their game against Florida State on Tuesday night. 4. Now, if you can't tell whether that's a lot,
you need 5
not a
to
lot,
start a game.
You need 5 to start a game. They had 4.
Yes.
So Jim Christian.
Colin Sexton one time beat a team with just 3.
Did they win?
I think they lost, but he played really well.
It doesn't matter. Rewrite history. It was Minnesota, right?
I think
it was Alabama, Minnesota. Yeah, they came back. Like he was balling out. Yeah,
that was a great game.
So Boston College only has 4 scholarship players. Jim Christian says we're going to fill out the rest of our roster with like basically 4 other walk-on scout team guys. And they only had 8 available. So even if you're playing a game with 8, like that feels dicey. It could go like, what if a guy rolls his ankle? What if a guy gets in foul trouble? Yeah. Just having 8 players under any circumstances is kind of scary, not like actually scary, but you know what I'm saying. So, but to have
meanwhile, if you have 8 guys in pickup, you're like, I should just go home.
Yeah, I should just go home. I'm never getting in this game. Only 4 on scholarship. And Boston College, if they had their full roster, if everything was fine, they would still get their asses kicked by Florida State. And this was setting up to be an absolute bloodbath. Jim Christian gets asked about it. They're like, Jim, what's going on? And he says, his quote was, our administration made the decision that the game needs to be played. They know how I feel about it, but once the decision was made, my job is to just get these guys ready. So he did all he could, apparently. The administration said, let them eat cake.
Yep.
Throw them to the wolves. They did what Roy did at Florida State, by the way, that one time when he threw the walk-ons in and then got his team off the floor, and then then the crowd stormed the court and all the walk-ons.
What year was that? 2011?
Yeah. And all the North Carolina walk-ons are like, what the hell, Roy? And he's like, toodles.
He's like, yeah, we're going to the locker room. Toodaloo.
Toodaloo. So that's what the administration
player
did.
safety move,
Player
by the way.
safety. He was ahead of the curve.
Yeah, of course.
In the interest and well-being of our players.
Also, first day on the job for the new ACC commissioner today. Jim Phillips comes from Northwestern. They plug and play on the job. John Swafford, over the weekend, he retires. We say our goodbyes. Jim Phillips comes in, and first day on the job, they're like, what do you want to do about this Boston College situation? And he's like,
let him play.
Let him play. That's what we do, baby. So I like to see that.
ACC. Right before we sat down to record the podcast, though, we saw that the game has, in fact, been postponed. So we were like, Jim Christian must have really went to bat. Yes. He must have called.
The administration finally stepped up.
Finally, he went to bat and said, this is not going to happen. As it turns out, no. The reason the game is postponed is because Florida State has COVID issues.
It was all Florida State.
Boston College COVID issues don't matter.
Yeah,
Florida State's is like, all right, let's shut it all down.
Yeah, it's like they can't waste this game on these guys.
So But my good guy, the logic still plays. Jim Christian went to bat for his guys. They were going to get slaughtered. He said, "I'm going to do a good guy move." This is an absolute nightmare for me. I won't speak for all walk-ons. I'll speak for myself as a former walk-on. You put me in this position, I'm not even joking. I think I'm trying to test positive for. I'm doing whatever it takes to get out of this. I want no part of playing.
I mean, there is a it's one thing if you're going to play at Iowa, right? And you're like, you know what? I could probably match up with Wise Camp or something, but like
I could Garbo Hannon.
You're playing Florida State. You know, like this is the longest, most athletic team in the ACC.
Coach, I'm guarding who? What? Yeah. This was I saw this when I saw the story initially. I was like, I felt anxiety for my walk-on brethren. I was like, oh my God, this is. I mean, high risk, high reward, I guess. Like if they pull off the upset, that's a 30 for 30. That's miracle on ice situation. And but it's Boston College, so no one's watching and no one cares anyway.
Yeah.
I felt like there was some point shaving potential in this one as well. I thought we've seen this before from Boston College basketball. Famously, Bruce Pearl was the Eagle on the team that he was the mascot on the team that was shaving points. That got a 30 for 30, by the way. So I was like, why would the administration make these guys play? I don't really understand it. I went to point shaving just because I'm so desperate for there to be a point shaving scandal in college basketball again. But anyway, that's the story. So they're not playing, but it actually has nothing to do with Boston College having 4 guys.
When was the last point shaving scandal? Did we figure that out? Did we?
It was more recently than we thought.
I know, but we
had a lot of people.
We think it's like 1970 or 1963 or something like that. But it was
like last year.
It was like 2009 or something like that.
Yeah. There've been a handful of them, but. It might have been North Carolina last year, honestly. Go back and watch some of those games. Like, what the
Especially when I watch Cole Anthony on the Magic. I'm like, who is this guy? Like, why did he play for us last year?
Speaking of shaving points and cashing checks and all that kind of stuff, let's talk bad guys. Who is your pick for bad guy of the week?
Bad guy of the week for me is a guy that I think is wrongfully tabbed in the bad guy category, in the teed up OSP Titus Tate universe. But it's because, the NCAA came a-knocking and he had to answer the bell. And he made some people answer some phone calls that he shouldn't have. And, of course, I'm talking about Kelvin Sampson. We like to put the drop, Sampson, from Half Baked here when we talk about Kelvin Sampson. But the real bad guy move that he did, obviously, they're number 5 in the country. Look at this guy. He's the best. They just blew out SMU.
Jordan School. I forget about that.
Well, and this is the bad guy move because I think a lot of people – in college basketball, in sports in general, we want to find moments, whether I feel like every single person in football this week has brought up Randy Moss. They're like, oh, I loved when I was growing up and I'd watch Randy Moss play football. And it's like every receiver that he's interviewed or talked to about the Super Bowl. Houston basketball, when you think of Houston basketball, we all think of Phi Slamma Jamma, obviously. That is the moniker, that is the moment. And Jordan Brand and Houston have announced their own Phi Slamma Jamma product line that is coming out. And number 5 in the country, probably one of the deepest teams in the country as far as talent. And they have guys come off the bench and put up 21 points. You're like, who is that guy? They had the AAC preseason player of the year, Caleb Mills, transfer to Florida State because he had guys that were basically beating him out. And now they introduced their own Jordan line that is Phi Slamma Jamma. We know how Phi Slamma Jamma ended, folks. We know that NC State, an air ball leads to a national championship. Jimmy V, one of the greatest moments, in college basketball history. But we know the talent that Houston had, and I feel like there has to be a redemption arc here. So this year, the bad guy move is to pull up the nostalgia. The bad guy move is to make money on this gear. And the ultimate bad guy move is to win a title. Kelvin Sampson.
Can I just say how genius it is, and definitely not coincidence whatsoever, that Michael Jordan has found a way to get his logo on Patrick Ewing.
Everything.
This is very concentrated. What he's doing.
Yes, of course.
Georgetown. He goes after Houston, which gets Hakeem, who won the 2 titles when he stepped away to play baseball.
Yep. Manifest destiny.
And he's like, no, screw you, Hakeem. Your school. Your
I own
school
you.
now.
Yes.
Clyde, the guy that Portland didn't draft me because they thought you were me.
Yep.
I own you.
Yeah.
Your school's mine.
The bad boy Pistons that claimed that they owned me and said that, basically I wasn't that good and that if they had been able to save healthy, I wouldn't have made it.
Now, hang on.
Well, guess what? The NBA just made, what do they call them? Some stupid name for their jerseys. And guess what? Jordan logo's on the Pistons jersey.
Well, speaking of bad boy Pistons, this might be good for Indiana. Isaiah Thomas goes to IU. Maybe Jordan's like, we're going to...
Statement jerseys. That's what they're called. They're so stupid.
Yeah, I mean, is this Jordan's play? Is this manifest
Yes,
Jordan?
yes.
He's going to go after Gonzaga for John Stockton and And where'd Malone go? Louisiana Tech?
I mean, the last move is Duke. I mean, he should definitely just. I mean, if the Jordan
He
logo
owns
gets
Duke.
on, if Nike is able to get a Jordan logo on Duke, that is the ultimate. We own you.
The Houston Cougars, #1 in the country on KenPom for defense. The #1 defense.
They're
in the country,
amazing.
according to
I'm telling you,
Kenneth-
Houston is.
Kenneth Pomeroy. Yep.
If you are a bettor and you want to look at long shot odds to win a title, Houston is the play.
All right.
That's all I'll say.
Speaking of KenPom, my bad guy of the week is Sister Jean.
Oh my! Yeah.
I didn't tell you I was. I didn't tell you. You didn't.
Is
know
it
that was
because of
coming.
the AP votes?
Look at her. Look at her.
She got 52 AP votes.
Well, I'm going to tell you why
Carolina
she
got
got 52 AP votes. Loyola Chicago, you're sitting down.
Yeah.
I need you to brace yourself for this because you are going to fall out of your chair. Buckle up.
Am I going to Jim Boeheim this?
The Loyola Chicago Ramblers on Kenneth Pomeroy's college basketball ranking algorithm standings. Now, this isn't adjusted tempo. This isn't luck rankings. These are like the algorithm.
Yes, this is the KenPom rankings.
The ranking.
Yes.
The ranking.
Yes.
I just want to make that clear. The Loyola Ramblers are number 12 as of this recording. 12th, Tate. The Loyola Ramblers, a team whose best win was probably tonight when they beat Missouri State. Now, granted, they won by a lot, but they beat Missouri State. They've beaten Bradley. Those are like their best wins. They've not beaten an NCAA tournament team all season. They are 14-3, I believe, 15-3, something like that. They've lost to Indiana State by 5 points. They lost to Wisconsin by double digits.
Yeah.
They lost to Richmond. Those are their 3 losses. They have no wins Duke has better wins than they do. Duke has no good wins. I just got to note they've fallen to 13th. I guess if I'm going to keep talking, they're gonna
Just keep going down.
KenPom's listening in. He's like, that's a good point. I got to fix the algorithm.
Oh man.
So I'm trying to figure out how the hell this is possible. How so you're saying to yourself maybe the Missouri Valley is highly valued because Loyola plays in the Missouri Valley.
Drake.
Well, there's the point, Tate. Drake, when I looked it up again, this is a fluid thing. I don't know. Games are going on as we're recording. Some teams are jumping up. The last I checked, okay, I just got the note. Drake has gone up 11-2 because they won big. They were 61st though this morning. They are now 51st. So my point is Drake is now playing sort of the same teams that Loyola is playing. They're both beating the hell out of each other. I think they play each other obviously coming up. They've not played each other yet. But why is Loyola so high and Drake is not when they are 16-0, 17-0? I've lost track at this point.
17
now.
Yeah.
They're 17-0. Loyola is not. And Loyola is they are ranked higher than literally the entire Pac-12 on KenPom. There's not a Pac-12 team. If Loyola was in the Pac-12, KenPom is saying they are the best Pac-12. There's your Pac-12 update. The Loyola Ramblers are the best team in the Pac-12. They are higher than Florida State. They are higher than basically the whole ACC except Virginia and Florida State.
How?
Or
How?
just Virginia, actually. I don't know. So the only thing that makes sense to me is Sister Jean is pulling some strings. There's got to be something going on. She's
How do we
dropping a
stop
bag
her?
to KenPom.
Yeah.
She's infiltrated the algorithm. I don't understand how this is going on. My apologies to Loyola fans who are listening. They're like, we're really good. Like, I'm sure you are. I'll watch
Sister Jean. Like,
I'll watch your Final
it's
Four
a
run this year,
virus
but
in the
yeah.
KenPom system right now.
Yeah, she's hacked the system, dude. She's hacked the system. That's the only thing that, yeah.
She's 101 years old, folks.
She
Not stopping.
This is current events. Titus trying to. Did she short the? Okay, that was bad. No, they also have like the 6th best defense on KenPom. So that's the reason why KenPom loves them is because their defense is awesome.
That's why.
So according to KenPom, he's saying that Loyola's defense is better than Michigan and Alabama and Texas and Texas Tech. Would you rather? You need a stop at the end of a game, Tate, and you can hand pick what defense is getting that stop for you. Are you taking the Texas Longhorns or the Loyola Fighting Ramblers?
I'm
not mad at it. I'm just confused. I'm
I'm
not
upset.
mad. I'm not like upset. I'm just
I'm upset.
confused.
Beavers uses.
You have a rivalry with Sister
Yeah.
Jean.
It's
so,
been going for a long time.
That is my bad guy of the week. But congratulations to the Loyola. Is this the high point of Loyola's program? Probably, or would you? Oh, the Final Four.
I think it was the Final Four,
Probably
but
the
also
Final Four.
could be this.
I forgot they went to the Final Four. That's right. All right, we're gonna take a break. Come back, do Tony.
They
guy.
forgot when they got to the Final Four.
Sister Jean. Sister Jean technically never saw him lose because people forget she wheeled herself out of
Yeah,
the arena.
she left. She's a sore loser. People talk about Coach K. Ridiculous.
She was ahead of the curve. She hit the. We should reassess whether we should be
She
playing
hit the
college
panic button.
basketball.
Got out of there. Should we play?
We're gonna take a break. Come back, do Tony Guy and Cal's Guy. All right, Tate. Tony Guy update.
Yep.
Oof.
It was a tough one. It was a tough one, Titus. Yeah.
The Virginia Cavaliers, who I was carrying water for, we had the debate on the last show going into the weekend. Who's the best team in the ACC? This is going to be a continuous thing, I think, for the remainder of the season. You say Florida State. Others are saying Florida State. I said Virginia. It turns out Florida State lost to Georgia
Josh
Tech as well.
Pastner is probably the right answer. Yeah.
It was there for the taking for Virginia. They were up by 10 at Virginia Tech against their rivals in Blacksburg. And a 19-0 run happened.
Yes.
19-0. It was the score was 47-44. Virginia was up with 8 minutes left, which a 3-point lead with 8 minutes left to Virginia. I don't know what the probability said, but I watched a lot of Virginia basketball. A 3-point lead with 8 minutes is like they are the boa constrictor.
Yeah, they're slowly.
There's like
it's about to be over.
You're on the other side. You think like we're still in this. We're only down one possession. There's 8 minutes left, and Virginia's like
you're really down 10.
You dumb bitch.
Like,
you have no chance whatsoever. And then this time the script got flipped, and Virginia Tech goes on a 19-0 run, and Keve Aluma has 29 points, and 5 minutes of game time passing. You look up, and it's 63-47 Virginia Tech, and they win. And Virginia scored in the final 8 minutes 4 points. 2 of those came on free throws with 11 seconds left. It was baffling. So there's your Tony Guy update.
Tony Bennett had one word for this after the game. They asked him, what happened, Tony? What happened in this game? How do you lose? How do you let Virginia Tech own the state? They said after the game that they are the 2 up, 2 down legends. It is our state. This is what we do. Virginia basketball is not a thing of beauty anymore. Tony Bennett said it was finesse. Yeah, he came up with his own word to describe the effort from his team, finesse. And
is he trying to recruit Rob Finney from Indiana? Is this tampering? I believe
it could be. It could be at this point, but that is the word he used, finesse. So not strategery, but finesse.
So if you were watching the game, you might have been scratching your head like, what the hell happened to Virginia? Like they looked like they had it in the bag and they let it all fall apart. But we know what happened, Tate. Our friend Charlotte Wilder, who I host a podcast with Charlotte called the People Sport. Quick plug, People Sports Podcast. Listen, we do one a week. We have a lot of fun doing it. Please listen if you want. On an episode of the People Sports Podcast, we had you come on. We decided we needed to figure out what college basketball team Charlotte should cheer for. She picked Villanova. We were wrapping up the show, and then
I refused to let that happen. And I said, Charlotte, please, Charlotte.
She ended up picking Virginia, and so she's been on the Virginia bandwagon for this season. And I don't know. At some point during the game, she tweeted something that was basically like Virginia Tech, more like Virginia technically better, or something. I think that might have been verbatim what she said. Like it was in Charlotte, in the only way Charlotte can. It was corny as hell and stupid, but it was basically she was saying, "Suck at Virginia Tech. I'm a Virginia fan. Suck at Virginia Tech." And I'm pretty sure from that moment on, that's what triggered the
21-4 run for the Hokies.
Yeah. So we have her on the show right now, Charlotte. We have Charlotte. We have Tate. We have
she was
Charlotte.
on mute, so she couldn't even argue against us.
So hard. I got muted before, and now here I am. And yes, okay. First of all, it's a little corny, but it's a good dad joke. So thank you.
Yeah, the
Mark.
dads at
I'm
home
gonna
loved
defend that one.
Tony Bennett loved it.
Tony Bennett loved it. Here's the thing, though. I have a case to make that it's not my fault.
Okay. All right.
Hear me out.
This is great.
Hold
on. This is great because this is setting up for what we love. Is I take full responsibility, but it's not my fault.
Plausible deniability.
Yeah.
It's our favorite ability on this show.
Right. So first of all, Mark said he was like, "There's a big game this weekend. You have to watch it," and I was like, "Okay, yes." Totally.
Nice work, Titus. Way to get her. Yeah.
On the bandwagon. I fell off the bandwagon like just a little bit, but then I was like firmly on it. And Mark texted me on Saturday and was like, "Hey, by the way, the Virginia game is on." And I was like, "I know," but I had totally forgotten. So I turn it on and they're just absolutely crushing it. And I'm thrilled. And, I was like, how has no one made a Virginia technically better joke yet? This is entirely my lane. And then everything, it was like the most complete collapse that
Did you
I
check
have
before
ever
you
seen.
Tweeted technically better, Virginia technically better? Did you Google any other technically better?
Did you search Twitter to make sure no one else had tweeted this before?
Oh no.
Okay, well that's
That's
even
it.
better. That makes it better. Okay, good.
No, does it make it better? Does it make it worse?
I think it
didn't
does
even do
make
my
it better because then
research.
you're just like, I'm shooting from the hip.
So Charlotte, what is your message to Wahoo Nation? Do you take responsibility for the 19-0 run?
Okay,
It was one of the most
Will
obvious
you grow from
jinxes
this?
I've ever
Yes,
seen.
yes.
I mean, like, what the hell?
So,
Knock on wood
yes,
3 times
first
next
of
time.
all, this is a two-pronged responsibility situation because it was obvious. Like, I really believe that if I hadn't tweeted that, I don't think UVA would have lost. Like, it was the correlation.
7 straight wins.
Down the drain because of one tweet.
How do you even I have no leg to stand on there. So I did tweet. I want everybody to know, first of all, thank you to the entire internet who added old takes exposed on me. I really, really appreciate that.
That's what they're there for.
But I know, and we love it. But and I deserved it. But I did tweet afterwards. I quote tweeted my original terrible tweet and said I take full responsibility because you have to if you do that. However, there is some blame. There is some blame.
I like the however instead of the but. It's always nicer.
I take full responsibility, however.
A more subtle sidestep.
However, Mark Titus is a little bit guilty here because on our show or before our show, I can't remember if we said this when we were taping or when we were just like messing around before we were taping.
I think I said it on the air. I think I said it at the end of the show.
You said, I need you back on the bandwagon because if you're not on the bandwagon, everyone's going to blame me because I'm getting back on the bandwagon. Yeah. And so Mark needed a scapegoat. He knew that he was going to jinx him. So he brought me in to tweet something stupid and obviously jinx him and be his ultimate cover. So Mark, you are welcome. But this is your fault.
Well, Charlotte, on this program, we call you a fall guy, and you have executed it perfectly. Yeah. Congratulations.
I said Virginia's playing well. I am carrying water, as I said earlier. I am waving the flag, tweeting at Jeff Goodman, you're a moron. Virginia's
that
good.
was nice.
Yeah,
I like that.
And I could see the writing on the wall, so I was like, I got to get Charlotte on the bandwagon so she could be the fall guy in this. We'll let you.
You told me that you were going to blame this on me.
Well, I told you how it was going to happen, and it did. And so I don't.
Straight up.
Like that's it's a dirty.
That's all we can do on this
It's a dirty
program.
business. That's how it works. So quickly before we let you go, are you still on the bandwagon? Did this affect it?
Yeah. How are you feeling?
Do you feel the love for Virginia fans? Were they mad at you? Like, where do you stand as a Virginia fan now?
No. Here, this is the thing that I have come to love so dearly about Virginia in the 2 months that I have dearly loved Virginia, which is that no Virginia fan was a jerk about this. I tweeted, this is my fault, and someone tweeted, it's not your fault. Like, it was
Virginia's for lovers.
Whose name starts with an A on Virginia Tech who was really, really good. What's his name?
Kevin Aluma. The guy that 29 points? Yeah,
that guy. Yeah. They were like, no, it's Aluma's fault. It's not you. And I was like, I've never met a fan base that is willing to absolve anyone of anything. And this is a beautiful, beautiful community. And if anything, I'm more firmly on the bandwagon because now I have to prove that I can watch a game and have them win.
Yeah, that's true. You have to be there through the down
I remember the first game they played after she jumped on the bandwagon. They went to overtime with Kent State at home.
yeah. That was a fun one.
So, oh my God, you're right. This is awful.
This is hilarious. So, all right, final question. Just give us your scouting report. Who do you like? What do you like
who's
about
your favorite
team?
player on the team?
You've been watching for 2 months. It sounds like you're not watching every second of every game, but you're watching enough. Like, what is your feeling on the vibe of Bennett ball? It's slow. We tried to warn you, but you're like, no, I kind of like it. It's kind of, if it pisses people off, that's funny. What is your review of being a Virginia fan? 2 months ago.
I still love Bennett ball. I still love the fact that they, the defense.
You say that like someone that is now watching Bennett ball.
I do though. I think it's funny. I still think it's kind of funny. I'm like, you don't see. I don't know. The sad thing was there was a shot clock violation in, the end when they were getting killed. And I was like, I can't even be happy about this. But, I'm on it. I'm on the bandwagon enough to know that that's the thing that I'm supposed to care about.
No, that's good. That's good.
I also get Jay Huff and Sam Hauser confused. I can't remember which one is which and which one has the brother who plays at Michigan. Does he play Michigan?
Michigan State.
Yeah. Michigan State.
Yeah.
It's Hauser.
And I promised our boss, Mike Buckland, that I wouldn't trash Michigan State, so I'm not going to do that. But I don't I can't keep the tall white guys straight. And then I love Kihei Clark because, as they say, he's the heart of the team.
As they say. That's what everyone says.
Yeah, that makes sense that you would like him. I feel like, yeah, he's very.
I was hoping it was
lovable
gonna be Wolden Tinze.
He's so adorable.
Yeah.
He's what, Tate? What'd you say?
Thomas Wolden Tinze. I thought that was going to be your answer.
It'd be funny if Charlotte was like a huge Reese Beekman fan, and she's like, he does a lot of stuff that doesn't show up in the box. He's like the defensive, I don't know. Charlotte Wilder, Fox Sports, our colleague, friend of the program. She's been on multiple times now, Tate. So there you go. She's we'll
I'm
send her a
so
t-shirt
honored. Thanks for having me, you guys.
And diehard Virginia fan.
Yeah, the biggest Virginia fan you'll ever meet. Thank you, Charlotte.
The Virginia fan who knows what time the games are on.
All right, Tate, we got to do Cal's guy update. Cal's guys, I'm sorry. As we do every week, and
we promised to get rid of this, by the way, and
we kind of did.
And the reason that we can't get rid of it is because at the end of the day, I watch a lot of sports television to keep up what's going on in the world. And PTI, you and I, we have grown up and been groomed by PTI, and the only thing that they can talk about in college basketball is Kentucky or Duke. And that's the only thing that these are the only signposts. So I think, if anything, if you need to get this explained to you, we use Kentucky and Duke as signposts to get you into the larger conversation. And right now, Cal's guys, let's get into the larger conversation.
Guys, let's get into it. So they were supposed to play Texas over the weekend in the SEC Big 12 Challenge. We were recording the podcast when we found out that we were doing our confidence pick.
Could have been a big win for them because Texas was very shorthanded. Could have been a nice win.
We found out the game was canceled. We thought it was Texas. We thought Texas was the reason that the game was canceled because Shaka Smart had COVID and wasn't going to coach in this game. We thought, there must have been other guys on the team that got it. And maybe that is the case. I don't know. But ultimately, the game was called off because of Kentucky. Kentucky had the COVID issues within the program, so the game was not played. And this basically was the death. I mean, I've been joking about it on the show for the entire time we've been doing the Cal's guys update is that they're not dead yet because they could theoretically run the table in the regular season and steal a tournament bid. They don't even have to win the conference tournament. If they could beat Alabama twice and Tennessee and Missouri and
let's
Texas,
just say that they won 6 out of 7 games in the SEC. They would definitely be in the top 25 again.
They had a lot of opportunities on the schedule coming up. We'll put it that way. And if they could just piece it together. Their team is so young, Tate. They're so young. But if I could just how do we reach
Keon
these
Brooks
kids?
back? Yeah.
How do we reach these kids? If Cal could just reach the kids and turn them into his guys, they could be all right. But one of those opportunities, they didn't lose. That's important to note. They did not lose to Texas, but the opportunity to add that, just nice crown jewel in the resume and maybe start convincing people that they should be receiving votes along with North Carolina. North Carolina gets 3 votes. Kentucky gets 1 maybe if they beat Texas.
If Kentucky won 6 out of 7 games in the SEC, they'd be ranked number 5 in the country. There's no doubt about it.
I don't disagree. So basically, I think any reasonable mind would say that Kentucky's season was already over before this, but now it's like the probabilities have gone from 99%, I would say, to 100% that they're not making the tournament. And it's done. You know what I mean?
And they're not going to play. They're not going to play in the NIT. I think there was even in Big Blue Nation, there was even a point when they did shut down and this game was shut down where I saw some people saying, "Let's just shut it down." Coach K.
You want to talk about what people were saying because I got on.
Please. Let us know. Let us know what the real people were saying.
We're big message board fans on the show.
Always
Pride,
have been, by the way.
Yeah, always have been. Pack Pride is our favorite, as you know. Those of you that listen.
We bonded over Pack Pride one of the first few times we met.
I think we did.
You were like, you know Pack Pride. I was like, you know Pack Pride?
Oh, do I? Oh, I have 4 accounts on Pack Pride. I'm in there constantly commenting. So I went to I don't know what is the big forum for Kentucky. I don't really know, but I do know that Kentucky Sports Radio is a thing. We hosted a show one time and it went not well. It went the opposite of well. It was an absolute disaster. They hated us.
That was the first time that you and I ever did anything outside of the ring
our little
universe.
bubble. Outside of our little bubble where we're coddled and everyone's like, "You're so good. I love you guys so."
And instead we had people calling us saying like, "We will kill you guys," and we're like, "We're in Los Angeles." They're like, "Where?"
Yeah, and the people that said they wanted to kill me didn't hurt me as bad as the people that said you're part of my take knockoffs. And I was
yeah.
It's like, can we get the death threats?
Yeah. Bring back "You want to kill me" and that you hate North Carolina.
But we still know that Kentucky sports radio, Matt Jones, the empire he's built, we respect it, we love it.
We love it.
And I know that
we love Matt Jones. He's always been great to us.
Oh, he's awesome.
Yep.
That has always been the litmus test for me. When I want the pulse of Kentucky basketball, Big Blue Nation,
Yep.
I go to Kentucky sports radio.
Yep.
Always have, always will.
Always will. Yep.
And I did that this time. So I found the blog post that they put up that said the game was canceled against Texas.
Okay.
That's basically it. There wasn't a lot of commentary. It was just basically like the game's been canceled. Here's why. Enjoy. And so I scroll to the comment section. I'm gonna read you some of the comments.
Please.
These are all legit. These are all copied and pasted. I did not fake any of these for journalistic purposes. I want to make that clear. These were just ripped straight from the comment section. And everything you're hearing, by the way, was a reply directly to the blog. It wasn't a reply to another comment, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So that's the context.
Yes.
It's guys coming in blind. This is their thoughts. It's not like I'm responding to another, whole chain. So there's this.
What was
one.
the name? What was the headline of the blog? Just the game is canceled.
Game's canceled.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't like
nothing specifically like game canceled.
it wasn't an op-ed.
Yeah,
it wasn't. It was just a news story.
Facts.
It was just facts only. This is a facts only blog.
Yeah.
So here are the comments. This is the best thing to happen to this program all year. There was that.
Nice.
It doesn't matter if they play or not. This team sucks. I'm not sure they win another game this year.
Optimist.
Throw in the towel, someone said.
Throw in the damn towel.
This one is Galaxy Brain, and it got me thinking. If all their players have COVID and all of our players have COVID, then no one has COVID and they can all play.
That's the.
Like, whoa.
That is. Wow.
There's this one. Again, this is a reply directly to the blog. This is not like there was not an argument that took place that then this guy.
That is the
commented.
Josh Pastner quote. I saw this today. It's not unthinkable if you think it, and that is that guy right there saying that.
So again, I'm gonna set this one up by saying this was a direct reply to the blog, not a comment. So this is what makes this one hilarious.
Not a comment.
A guy responds to the blog with, "Why do liberals?" and then puts in parentheses, "and I'm a Democrat." Close parentheses. I'm sure you are, buddy. Insist on calling people idiots or morons when they disagree. That was just like a reply to. It says game canceled, and he's like, "Here's a question," and I say this as a Democrat. Why do liberals?
I'm just asking for my own research.
This seems to have come at a great time for Coach Cal. He can now cancel the season and then can claim that the team was on the verge of a huge winning streak and probably would have won it all.
Yeah.
That's what slick snake oil salesmen do: lie about their own deficiencies, create a false narrative, then promote a myth that they were on the verge of greatness until an unforeseen tragedy struck. And then he put in parentheses, COVID to the rescue. Now Cal can go back to his real profession and passion, promote and sell his players to NBA executives. So, trouble in Camelot, trouble in paradise.
That is that one. You talked about like things cutting you to the core. I mean, I think if John Calipari read that would cut him to the core because you're like, it's a little too close.
He would walk to the bathroom and stare in the mirror. And just stare.
Hello,
So I guess that's my big question to you, Tate, is Kentucky's not going to make the tournament. They're not going to win the national championship. This is the second year, I believe, if my math is correct, that John Calipari. Well, if you don't count last year, not.
Well, the last one was after a championship.
After, yeah.
So
they won a
that one was
a little
like
different.
they kind of wiped it clean,
but this is obviously unusual. So I guess we start thinking. Let's put to bed Kentucky this season and start thinking big picture where John Calipari fits in this program. He has a lifetime contract. The fans obviously don't love him right now. My question to you, is this a problem? Is this a big picture problem? Is this a 1 year problem? Do you think John Calipari will ever go to another Final Four at Kentucky? Do you think we're in the post-winning era of John Calipari's tenure at Kentucky where the last comment I read, maybe, there's always been that the waters are murky of like, what is Cal's motivation actually? Is he trying to win titles or is he trying to get guys drafted? Are we now going to see moving forward as John Calipari lives the rest of his life as the head coach at Kentucky, and the moment he decides to step down, he will be executed? That's how the lifetime contract works. Will we now see him go all in on just get guys drafted? He's like, I don't care about winning anything. I just want to get guys drafted.
See, I think that's what he's already done.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he basically did after 2015. I think that was basically his moment where he decided that the NCAA tournament, there was too many factors at play. Like, we were the best team all year. We should have won the championship. And we did not get rewarded with that. I can't even trust this system. You know what I mean? I now am what this commenter just said. I want to just get my guys to the NBA. I want to get my guys to the league and that be my legacy. But I think the pivot back for Cal, because I do think a lot of people that call Cal a snake oil salesman, all that sort of stuff, and say that, you know, he's just a recruiter. They don't realize that Cal is actually, you know, I think a pretty solid basketball coach when push comes to shove. And when he has to actually coach, he can be a really good basketball coach. And when he stops campaigning for his players and he stops having to be basically an agent middleman
right.
between these, you know, 5-star recruits that he brings in and the guys that are going to get drafted in the first round and then go and, you know, basically say, I love Coach Cal, you should go play there in the future. If he doesn't have to do that, if he can pivot back, he can coach Kentucky basketball. So you ask, like, if this is the end of the post, it might be the end of the campaigning era of John Calipari, because I think he may eventually say, look, I'm getting guys like Oscar Tshiebwe and these, you know, transfers to come in, and I'm going to coach them hard. And these young guys, I'm going to coach them hard, and I'm going to see what happens. And if they want to leave, sure, let them leave. And I think Kentucky fans actually probably would appreciate Calipari being more that way than they do, you know, being on ESPN, you know, all up in the video, you know, basically being P. Diddy of college basketball.
I agree with everything you say. I think that's I think it is interesting. I don't think you're Chicken Little if you're saying to yourself, we might have seen the last John Calipari Final Four in Kentucky. I don't think that's I mean, like, that sounds hot take-ish to say, because the guy went to 4 Final Fours in 5 years and he goes to the Elite Eight, like, you know. But we live in unprecedented times, Tate. And that includes...
You're more saying this as... We're both, I think, saying this as not to say that John Calipari doesn't have the capability to get a talented team into Kentucky and take them to the Final Four. We're more saying that this might be the final straw. This might be like...
If you've watched Kentucky this year, that is how he coaches this team. Is like, people were losing their mind. Play Dante Allen more. What are you doing, coach? And he's like, Dante Allen's not going to get drafted in the lottery. Yeah. So I'm not playing him.
Yeah, and that's
like,
the facts.
What's the goal here? Are we trying to win, or are we trying to get guys drafted? And he's like, I'm trying to get guys... Yeah. I've been saying this for years. Are you guys not listening? They're like, oh... But we've also won for years.
Yeah, he's like, my job is to get B.J. Boston drafted in the lottery now. That's my job. So when you're asking me why he's taking 17 shots, that's because he has to.
He has to, yeah.
This man got Kevin Knox drafted in the top 10 of the NBA draft, you know? Like, that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with someone that he's that motivated to get these guys in favorable enough positions to get drafted and to work these NBA executives. You don't think John Calipari's texting, you know, Danny Ainge saying Johnny Juzang's got the best shot he's seen in 10 years?
Well, he's not doing that anymore, Johnny Juzang.
He probably still is.
I'll take credit for it. I'll take credit for it. So just to, because we're throwing a lot of dirt on Cal's grave right now, and I understand.
Pull it back.
I understand how ridiculous that, you know, it could. Because people were doing the same to Nick Saban. We should point out that when Nick Saban, Alabama had a couple bad, or by their standards. Because I remember
the playoff in the first round.
Yeah, I remember they won the title this year, and I saw a lot of the old take exposed type people that are like, hey, remember like 20 whatever it was when everyone said
Nick Saban was dead. I think it was like 2013
or
something like that.
Yeah, as the game passed him by, all that kind of stuff. I do want to point out that John Calipari, 7 of the 10 tournaments that have been played since he's been at Kentucky, he's made the Elite Eight.
Of course. And look.
7 of the 10 tournaments.
2017
one went to the NIT,
with
one
De'Aaron
was
Fox and Malik Monk and Bam Adebayo. I mean, that team that lost to Luke May in North Carolina on that shot, that team would have won the title if it wasn't North Carolina. That's a fact.
Technically speaking, Kentucky defending Elite Eight team, because in 2019 they lost to Auburn, and then there wasn't a tournament last year. So could for another 6 weeks, you can still say that, Kentucky fans. There you go. All right, let's wrap.
I think Kentucky fans hopefully will understand that we're arguing for them. At the end of the day,
I don't
think they will.
I don't think Kentucky fans listen to our show.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right.
They're listening to Matt.
Yeah,
they're not listening to us.
Good.
We found that out when we went on the show. We're like, hey, all you Kentucky fans that listen to our podcast,
so
are like, absolutely not.
Like,
no, please don't.
What schools did you go to? No.
No, it's okay, because we know college basketball, because I went to Ohio State, that school up north that you absolutely hate. He went to North Carolina, that school that you absolutely... Oh, now I see what's happening here.
Yeah, I got it.
Shout-outs, closeouts. What do we have?
Man, I want to shout out to LaMelo Ball. He is a guy, you and I, we predicted him getting drafted to the Hornets. We've watched the entire journey. Just a couple weeks.
Journey
we have of the Hornets, of his Hornets journey. It's been beautiful.
2 months.
Man, some of the most fun I've had watching the Charlotte Hornets. In my entire adult life, and that's I say since
you are
2014.
really into the Hornets right now.
Yeah.
You wear Hornet stuff every time I see you.
I am.
You're watching the game on your phone.
Let me just say this: like Charlotte, the Hornets in general, right now, they have done what I think a lot of teams need to do, which is like they have made a what the Spurs have sort of done. You know, it's like a collegiate team.
Vlade Divac tried it, and they hated
tried
him
to
for
make
it.
the Blue Bloods.
They hated him for it.
Yeah. Now Joe Dumars is there, and he's like, get all these guys.
Yeah.
How do I get rid of all these people? But regardless, the Hornets, they've been great. LaMelo Ball is so fun. LaMelo Ball, I know he has the turnovers and the problems, and Borrego was talking about him earlier in the year, but we figured it all out. However, we have figured it out. He started his first game tonight. They beat the Miami Heat. Like I said, Malik Monk has 36 points. They're young. They're fun. I enjoy when they mess up, and they still have Terry Rozier and Gordon Hayward, who are nice veteran pieces. Bismack Biyombo is one of the greatest Charlotte people we brought in to Charlotte, ever maybe, and he's great on the team with LaMelo. So I just want to shout out LaMelo Ball. His first start.
So how many years do you get away with being the fun young team before it's like?
Oh,
all right,
LaMelo's
now we
leaving
gotta...
after his rookie deal, so it's like we got 3 years with LaMelo. I got 3 years, and this is one of them, and it's in COVID times with no fans, so I basically have to enjoy it while I can.
Yeah.
We all know he's leaving.
Well, there you go. You are enjoying it. I will say.
I am enjoying every minute
Lest
of it.
anyone think that Tate is a poser Hornets fan. I've seen this
Rookie
guy.
of the year.
It's unbelievable.
Rookie of the year.
He's watching more. You're full-fledged NBA hole now.
Yeah, I am watching too much
all
NBA.
in.
I'm
Yeah,
actually upset that
Disgusting.
I'm watching so much NBA because at the end of the day, as you know, a lot of it's BS.
I want to shout out John Chaney, who passed away, and
Yes.
he is a college basketball
Little
legend
John.
and deserved. Yeah, Little John. We lost Big John.
Yep.
We just lost Little John, and I'll be honest. Like Temple never resonated with me growing up, so like I'm not gonna pretend like I was a big. Temple had my attention.
Yeah.
But like it didn't resonate in the way Georgetown did with Big John. Like a lot of other programs did, but Temple, I understood that something was happening at Temple. I understood that Temple was like John Chaney was to Philadelphia what Jay Wright has become now, where he just like dominated the Big Five, and Temple was like the program. And it's been so I'm not going to talk about my experience watching John Chaney, but I will say that it has been enlightening, I guess, to read and listen to what people say about the guy and the kind of coach he was, and and thinking about what he did for the black community, and him and Big John together, like kind of carrying that burden for all those years. We would have loved him if he was coaching during our podcast heyday. Like if he was a current, like the guy was content galore. Content galore, and he was a hard ass coach and a character in all the best ways possible. And anyway, so there you have it.
Yeah.
Not much of an obituary for me, but those are that's all I really had.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, Coach Chaney is one of those guys where, he is a staple. You mentioned the black community. I mean, Coach Raveling, wrote a great piece just talking about how brilliant he was as a basketball mind. And I think, he was also a high character guy. We always joke on our show about the Coach Calipari moment, but that really all started because he thought that Calipari was basically working the officials. Yeah, and he thought that was not honorable. Yeah, and this is a guy that like
there you look at him,
and they became great friends late in life and everything. And I just think that Coach Chaney represented the good of the game, and I think that's one thing that he'll leave behind. And I think a lot of times, we lose these basketball greats, and we don't really realize how much of a relevance and a presence they had.
That's
and
the
obviously
bitch of
him
life,
and Big
dude.
John.
The bitch of getting older is realizing that you really truly don't appreciate or stop and think about people until they're gone.
Yeah.
And then you start like thinking like, oh yeah, John Chaney, I should have paid more attention to what he had going on, and I don't know. It's a bummer.
I
just remember Temple every year had a good. When I was growing up, Temple was always good, but they were always they existed. on the periphery.
I'll say it. I mean, the reason I knew Temple was, just because of Cosby. I mean, it was I knew of the Temple sports world through him and watching the Huxtables, and you know what I mean. It's so I knew via that through pop culture, and that's the other thing. John Chaney was a pop cultural everyone knew who John Chaney was.
I knew who John Chaney was for sure. Yeah, and I knew nothing about his teams. I knew nothing about, but I was like, that guy's a legend, and never did make a Final Four, but I don't know. It's been cool to learn more about it because you realize he had such a greater impact than just like that is not his
bigger
legacy.
than basketball, literally.
His legacy is not making the Final Four, which was like kind of the thing about him that I remember growing up in Indiana. It was like, yeah, he's a good coach, but will he ever get over the hump?
Classic.
Or yelling at Cal. Like I know people have made that point before. That like don't let he never let that moment define him. But dude, you go back and watch that. It's hilarious. It's like not like it's great. Like if a coach did that, like Nate Oates would have done that to Coach K.
If there was no PR to be played,
dude,
exactly. Like you talk about someone just doing something from their gut. Like this is just who he was as a coach, and and it was coming from a good place. I think that's the other thing that I have to. Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? I
the
mean,
best.
I don't know. I love it. I love that era of college basketball. I love coaches that did that. It's so that's why we got so excited when Nate Oates did it. Why we were so. Or not, he didn't do that, but when he called out Coach K, we were so heartbroken when he rescinded his statements and apologized ultimately. But anyway, John Chaney. So any other shout outs?
Yeah, a couple more shout outs here. This is not in the same tone as obviously Coach Chaney, but this is someone that he knew, and that is classic Jim Boeheim.
You want to talk about coaches like going nuts in press conferences? I will defend Boeheim. You're going to play the clip, but I'm just going to say I will defend Boeheim to my death because of what I just said. Like I love
that he's honest. I love that he just says exactly what he's thinking at the moment. And this is Jim Boeheim. He was in the press conference after the state game, and during this game, folks, if you didn't watch it, Buddy Boeheim at one point was going up for a layheim. Jim Boeheim, a layup, and I guess they probably called it a layheim. And he fell out of his chair. He was so perplexed by the moment. He's on tilt right now. But anyways, this is after the game in the press conference. This is just 23 seconds of pure gold from Jim Boeheim.
We're learning. We're trying to learn that stuff. But the bottom line, we need another center. We need somebody that could help us. Jesse was I can't describe what he did out there. It was, I mean, when you let a 6'2" guy come in and make a layup and you're 7 foot, you can't play. You can't play. That's the bottom line.
You can't play. That's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line.
And that's in the post game after the state game. Jim Boeheim.
I like he's like, I can't describe what he did out there, and you're like, oh my god, is it that graphic? Like, what did he do? Did he take his pants off? And like,
he let a guard score a
did he poop in his hand and just like throw it? Like, he's like, I can't just. What I witnessed is some of the most disgusting, depraved,
vile thing I've ever seen. Like, what happens? Like, you let that guy score a layup on him. He's 6'2".
Oh, I love him so much. He's so. Did you see the quote he had today? He was asked why Cuse was 9-1 at home, and he said, "No idea. I guess the fans aren't as important as we thought." I guess the fans aren't as important as we thought. He said about his own fan base. That
I mean, honestly, like you said, like if you're Syracuse, like if you are a person that went to Syracuse and has witnessed Jim Boeheim, you love this. You know what I mean? This is our coach. You're like, that's coach. You know,
I mean,
that's what
that's what that I. Or you're like, God damn, I'm being held hostage right now.
You're like, where's Mike Hopkins?
Can you please retire, Jim? Please, please.
Buddy Boeheim, like I didn't know that a green light could be so green until I watched Buddy Boeheim play for his dad. I mean, I will say that. That's shout out to Buddy Boeheim.
I just remembered you talking about green lights from father son. We should do a. There he is falling out of his chair.
He wanted Buddy to get that and-1 so bad.
He's like, Buddy. Dude, you talking about father-son green lights. It just reminded me of the time I witnessed in Chicago, Illinois, the 2015 Kentucky Wildcats playing UCLA in the CBS Sports Classic. And Bryce Alford had the greenest light of all time.
You're right. Bryce Alford actually did have the greenest light of all time.
Kentucky was up at halftime like 41-7 or something. Or was it 50? No, it was like 7. It was like 41-7 at halftime. And Bryce Alford shot like 12 times in the first half. That was one of the all-time, like, I felt like I was, that was one of the weirdest experiences of the whole place was Kentucky fans.
Yeah.
They were having out-of-body experience because they could tell right away this team is going to be an all-time, maybe the greatest team ever assembled. And they were up 41-7.
And this is the platoon year, by the way. So this is when Cal's doing the full thing.
It was like, it was just it was basketball fan ecstasy, watching those people at halftime just like going to piss and get beers or whatever.
It's the Duke fans that we saw in the first Zion game.
41-7 on UCLA, and they're just like in tears, hugging strangers. Like, we're going all the way. And Then they lost to Wisconsin.
That's why Coach Cal quit. I think that was.
I think that was it. That was the
he's like,
moment.
"I'm
He's
out."
like,
It's like we're too good for this.
we held Bryce Alford to 7 points and we still couldn't win a title. It's unbelievable.
Bryce Alford airballed a shot that got called a goal
to win an NCAA tournament game.
Exactly. Like that's how green of a light he had.
That's
Airballed
true.
a shot.
I forgot about that. SMU.
The SMU. Well, I'll never forget.
Was that Larry
that.
Brown
Yeah.
or Jankovic? That was
I think it was Jankovic. I think Larry had
Jankovic.
just left.
Larry left.
Yeah.
I wanted to shout out the Purdue Boilermakers, who have yet to beat a full strength Ohio State basketball team this year. Just as an aside.
Yep.
So let's get that on record. They have still not beaten Ohio State when Ohio State is at full strength, but they are ranked. Tate. They're ranked, I believe, 24th in the latest AP poll, and this is noteworthy because the entire state of Indiana up until this point was 0 on the season, and we were in serious jeopardy of the entire state of Indiana going the entire season without having a team ranked in the AP poll, which would be the first time it has ever happened since the AP expanded to 25 teams.
Yeah.
So the AP, because like they used to do 20 or they used to even do like 15.
Yeah, I
We
think
got
it's
in there, so-
yeah.
They used to just do, well, people don't know this, but back in the day, it used to just be one, and it was Duke. That was it. They're like, we need more teams on these rankings. They're like, all right, I guess if
God.
we have to.
Yeah. Seriously, I think it's still like that.
So this would have been, I was nervous about it, that
What are people gonna do when Duke's bad when Coach K leaves?
I know. But Purdue is ranked, so the streak continues. The state of Indiana have dipped their toes in the AP poll. It sucks it had to be Purdue. We would love to see Purdue, what would happen if Purdue played a full-strength Ohio State team. I don't think we're going to be able to see that this year, unfortunately, but the Boilermakers are ranked. So
There's always the Big Ten tournament. I
There you
think
go. There you
fingers crossed that could happen. My final shout-out, I want to shout out to the state of Iowa. Just as a whole, I think Drake being undefeated right now, 17-0. Iowa, obviously, Luka Garza, the National Player of the Year. Let's give the tip of the cap of true hoop state. Iowa, I loved Harrison Barnes. I liked Marcus Page. I have always tried to give my due diligence and my credence to the state of Iowa.
If you're shouting out states, we should shout out the whole state of Texas, by the way, because we're talking a lot about Houston and Baylor and Texas Tech.
You're right.
And
Texas. That four right there could be the Final Four. So shout out to Texas as well. Officially a hoop state. Maybe we should do that basketball state or football state.
Basketball state or football state. There you go.
There you go.
Iowa's
a basketball state.
That's a podcast. My final shout outs, Duke lost, and Coach K said, quote, "I'm really disappointed in our team. They did not play like a Duke basketball team, and obviously I'm responsible for that. So look in the coming days for Coach K to take his D off of his team's chest. That is,
Coach, please remove the D.
Take your D away, Coach.
Take the D away.
And finally, we are famously a women's basketball podcast as well. We talk a lot about women's college basketball on the show. So NC State beat Louisville. We talked about it. What are you laughing about, dude? We do.
Coach,
what are you talking about?
No. I'm sorry. I'm on my computer. I'm not laughing about women's basketball. I'm laughing about Coach K was asked after this game, this loss to Miami. He said, "We were very, very soft. I'm extremely disappointed. Very soft. Very soft." I just had to say that.
Take the D. Take your D away, Coach.
Take the D.
Coach K. NC State beat Louisville.
That was great.
In women's basketball tonight.
They wore their
number one
black
team.
jerseys tonight. NC State, I love them.
NC State just lost the other day, and they were coming off a shocking loss. It was vile. Jim Boeheim said that was. I couldn't talk about what I witnessed.
You can't play.
Ugh. And they turned around and beat the number one team in the country. So Pack Pride is back, NC State, and it shakes up the women's college basketball rankings. That's going to be interesting.
I have one more story. I was watching late night Fox Sports, and they were having the cornhole tournament on, and they were throwing bags. I guess I don't even think they call it cornhole, but it was in Myrtle Beach, and NC State was up in this. They were going to win the national championship.
It was like college cornhole?
It's college cornhole, and they were playing against Auburn. It's two guys. They were up 12-0. It's like 12 rounds in a cornhole. They were up 12-0 like they're going to win. It was all set up. I'm like, man, I'm about to watch NC State win a national championship. Auburn comes back in the 11th hour and wins and upsets them, and it was like the most stating moment of all time, like watching State. And I was like, this is cross sports. Like, this is too deep. This is just too deep. Because they win. Yeah, it was NC State. And they do it in bass fishing. They do win in bass fishing. But I just want to say, those two guys, apologies about the bags.
Bass fishing and bags.
That's what they do.
Put that on a t-shirt. I'm buying it.
Oh, man.
Bass fishing and bags.
That's a Barstool shirt right now.
Bags, yeah, Barstool's already made.
Big cat right now. Put in my promo code.
Buy to the moon. Final shout out, our friend, our longtime friend, our longtime colleague.
Wow. This is a great shout out.
A guy, an OG Titus and Tate fan, all the way back to before we even had a show.
The man who introduced us,
the
really.
The man who introduced us, really. Yeah. I thought it was Jacoby. They were both there.
They were both there, yeah. We'll give it to both of them.
I don't know who introduced, but like one of them introduced and one played wingman, like facilitated.
I think Rafe facilitated.
There was a pick and roll situation.
Jacoby introduced, Rafe facilitated. Yeah. Officially on the record.
Jacoby introduced, and then he Irish goodbye'd. And then Rafe Bartholomew stepped in. He was my editor at Grantland. I love him to death. He's one of the people I've worked with that, like, if I was making a list of people I've worked with in my short and very non-illustrious career of people who I can say definitively make what I do better, like in terms of editing or like having great ideas or whatever. Yep. He is very much at the top of the list, number one. And he's now joined Fox Sports State. He's our colleague, so I wanted to shout him out. He's awesome, and I don't know how many people listening know of Rafe, but if you catch yourself thinking wow, the show's gotten a lot better. Wow, Fox Sports has gotten a lot better. That's why.
That's Rafe.
That's why.
That's Rafe.
That's Rafe.
Yeah,
Rafe. So,
that's what he does.
Shout out to him. And shout out to you guys listening. Tell your friends. Tell you it's time to
It's almost that time.
Lock in.
We're a month away.
We're a month away. It's all happening.
It's gonna happen too. Knocking on wood.
I'm so excited. Thank you guys for listening. Honestly, from the bottoms of our heart.
Yeah.
We love you.
We're close. We're close.
We're very, very close. I can feel it in my loins. We're a month away from March Madness.
Yes.
That's it.